Welcome back to the Blazor Server in-depth course. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at events, which are like parameters in reverse for components. So we can send data back from a component to its parent using events. So let's see how to do this in Visual Studio. Create a new project, Blazor app, call it Blazor app, and this is the events demo. Make sure all of our settings are correct. Hit create. And close this out. And what we're going to do is I'm going to create a component that is for voting. All right, so I'm going to create a new item and I'll just call it vote.razor. And in here, this is going to be pretty simple. I'm not going to do a whole lot here. It's going to be really pretty. It's just going to do one job, which is allow us to vote on pretty much anything. So let's take out the H3 here. I'm going to create a button with a class equal to btn and btn-outline-primary. And we'll make sure that it's also got a margin on the x-axis of 2. And we're going to, inside here, we're going to put a span. We'll say class equals OI and then OI dash. And let's make this one the thumb up button. We've done this before. And then we'll just say approve. And we'll create another one that is our reject button. And this is going to be a thumbs down or thumb down. Okay, so a thumb up and a thumb down, that's it. You can approve it or reject it. It's two buttons. That's pretty much all this component is. But now let's have a way to vote. So we're going to have a private void, and this is going to be thumbs up. And we'll have another private void. Private void thumbs down. Okay, so thumbs up is approve, thumbs down is reject. Now what we need to have is a way to tell our parent, whoever is calling this vote button, that a approval has been done. So first of all, let's wire up these buttons to say at on click equal to, in this case, thumbs down. And this will be the same thing, only thumbs up. On click equal to thumbs up. All right, so it's going to call these methods, but how do these methods talk to the parent to say, hey, I just got the vote? Well, what we'll do is we will have a parameter, but this parameter is going to go the opposite direction, so it's going to be an event callback. And the type, let's give this a type of, let's do it string for now. And let's say on voted. Okay, so it's going to be called whenever a vote happens. This is an event callback. This is the event type that'll be used to call the parent and say, hey, this is what's happened. Now you can do something with this. And we're going to say that the type is string, meaning that's what we're going to pass back to our parent. This could be anything you want. It could be a full object. It could be a Boolean. It could be an integer, whatever you want. Now, I'm going to go with a string because I'm going to pass back approved or rejected, but it's up to you how you want to do this. You might want to pass back a Boolean, true for thumbs up and false for thumbs down. But I'm not really a big fan of that because it's a little limiting. A string is a little concerning because it's going to have this magic string we pass back and forth. And if you type it wrong, then you don't get the value back correctly. So that is something to think through. But in our case, it's good for a demo, and I think it will work just fine. Now all I need to do is call this or invoke this onVoted event callback. So I'm going to say onVoted dot invoke async. I'm going to pass back the value, that string type. In this case, it's a thumbs up, so approved gets. But it's a special type for Blazor applications, because what happens is when this gets called, it will trigger a refresh or a redraw of both the parent and the child. Now, don't get concerned. It's not a full page redraw like we think with something like Razor Pages applications. This just means that it will figure out if there's anything new to show on the page based upon this event. If you use a func or an action or another delegate type, then it will not trigger that redraw. And that's the important part. So always use this event callback. It's designed to trigger that redraw of the affected page portions. Okay, so we have our vote button now. Let's start using it. So I'm going to go to the counter page. And on the counter page, we're going to have that vote button be, let's be down at the bottom here. We're going to have a div with a class equal to row. And then inside there, we're going to have a div with a class equal to call dash, if I can type, 12. So a full width column. Inside here, we're going to have our vote button. And then on this page, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable that is bool, let's make it private bool page approved equals false. And then private bool page rejected equals false. Because neither's happened yet. And then what we'll do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to create a handler for this call. So I'm going to say private void handle on voted. And it brings in a string, so result. Okay. And then up here in the vote, I can say onVoted equals handle onVoted. So there's my onVoted, and this is an event callback, so it works kind of like anything else, which is why I called it on. So any other event, like onClick, same thing. So onVoted works just like any other event handler where we can pass in a method, and that method gets called when that event gets triggered. So handle onVoted, I'm going to have a switch statement here. I'm going to switch on result. And then down here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say case approved. And I'm going to say page approved equals true. Break. And then case rejected. Page rejected equals true. Break. All right. So now I'm going to flip these two to be true, one of them to be true, based upon approval or rejection. Now up here, I can create a couple of if statements. If page approved, then h2 with a class of, let's say, text-success. This page has been approved. And then I can have another if statement with page rejected. This set it is text danger, and it says rejected. Okay, so neither of these will show until the vote has happened. Once the vote happens, one of these will light up. Now, let's get one step further and say, let's wrap this thing in if page approved equals false and page rejected equals false, then show the vote button. Otherwise, don't have a vote button. It's already happened. Let's check this out. Let's run this and see if we can get our approvals to work for the counter page. So it's kind of a weird overlap here. We have approve and reject this page. I approve it. This page has been approved. Notice no more vote button. If I come back and reject it, this page has been rejected, but no more vote button. So this allows us to get data back from our nested control. It allows us to tell the parent, here's what happened based upon an action inside of my specific component. Now, that's what we did to the counter page. The cool thing is we can still reuse this vote in a different way. So let's have the weather forecast where right below the weather forecast, I'm going to have a, let's just do right in here, I'm just going to say vote, and I will say onvoted equals handle on voted, which we don't have yet. So we'll come down here to this, and we're going to say, all right, private void handle on voted string result. Okay, and we're going to have a string up here that is going to be the grid text CSS. All right, like so. And then we're going to have a switch on result. And for the sake of typing, I'm going to copy this switch right here. There we go. But instead of page approved, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say grid text CSS equals text dash success. And I'm going to say that this one is going to be text dash danger. So instead of doing the booleans and hiding and showing things, I'm just going to add this text to the text CSS. And now I can use this text CSS and I will apply it to this table. Okay, so this table should get the text color based upon this CSS. We'll see how it works. Okay, we're launching the page. The page has launched. We go to counter. That still works. We go to fetch data. We're going to approve this, and now all the text turns green. And say, you know what? No, I reject this. It now all turns red. And notice the voting buttons are still here. So with the same component, I can get different results on different pages based upon the output. So I just want to show you that to say you're not locked into one specific way of using this. You can use this component in different ways on different pages because you can react to the results differently. All right, so think through that when you're thinking about how you use your components. You can send data back and say, here's what happened, and then you can respond based upon that. Now, just to add one last piece of clarity, if we go to the index page and say vote, but do not handle that, and you run this, so now we have no handler for the results of the vote. Approve, reject, nothing happens, and that's okay. You don't have to handle the event. You don't have to listen for it, but just know that it's happening behind the scenes so that you can actually see the results if you wanted to. But if you don't care, that's fine. That also means you can have multiple events coming back from this component. So I can put multiple event callbacks here. One for voted, one for updated vote, maybe one for something totally different. Mouse over, where the person actually has seen it, or something like that. So there's a lot of things you can do with these callbacks, but just note that you have to handle them if you want to get the results back. So that's it for this lesson. We've looked at event callbacks. We've looked at how to pass in a type to them, how to pass them back to the parent, and then how to actually do something with that result or that event. Okay? We talked through the idea that you can't use func or action or another delegate type. We have to use this specific way of doing things by calling this event callback. Otherwise, it won't redraw the page properly. Okay? So that's how you work with event callbacks and events to send data from the child back up to the parent. Okay? So practice this, try it out with a few different types, try it out with a few different ways, and see if you really understand what we went over. Once you do, come on back for the next lesson.